Friends, this morning for a brief meditation, we will study a passage from the letter of James, James chapter 5, verses 7 to 11. Here, James talks about practicing patience. In this concluding section of the letter, the term patience is mentioned at least 4 times, twice in verse 7 and once in verses 8 and 10. Now, we live in a very fast world. Now, living in a fast world has trained us to be fast, sometimes too fast, and often hasty. In this context, it is important to be reminded of the 3 lessons that James teaches to practice patience in our life. The first lesson is be patient with God. In other words, James is encouraging us to be patient to the fulfillment of God's promise. In verse 7 and 8, I'll read verse 7 and 8. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. The problem with the Jerusalem church was that they were questioning the delay of the coming of the Lord. They were questioning the delay of the coming of the Lord. At his ascension, Jesus promised that he will come back soon to reward the righteous and punish the wicked. So the first century Christians, when they were facing persecution by the Romans, they wanted Christ to come soon and punish their enemies. But when it delayed and when things did not go as they planned, they lost their patience and started to murmur and complain. And they slowly started to backslide from Christian faith. This was the problem James had to handle as the pastor and leader of the Jerusalem church. In this context, James uses the time between the ascension of Jesus and his second coming as a time to practice patience. The argument of James is that the Lord who promised will definitely fulfill his promise. There is no doubt about it. But the time between the actual promise and the fulfillment of the promise is an opportunity for us to practice patience. To demonstrate this point, James brings the example of a farmer who waits patiently for the harvest. Now he says, see how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Once the crops are planted, the farmer must be patient till the time of harvest. And this period of waiting could include hardships and hard times, and most likely hunger for the farmer and his family. Yet, no matter how much hardships the farmer may face, he must remain patient and expectant. There are several examples in the Bible to illustrate this point. For example, in Abraham's life, it took about 30 years for the fulfillment of the promise that God made to him, that I will bless you and make you a great nation. And these 30 years, Abraham exercised patience. Joseph had to wait 13 years for the fulfillment of the dreams God gave him, that his brothers would one day bow before him. Everything worked contrary to what God had revealed to Joseph in the dream. But he waited patiently without murmuring. And the day came when the dream was fulfilled. The Israelites waited 40 years to be delivered from the desert. It almost took a youthful life before David became a king, as was prophesied and anointed by prophet Samuel. The man at the pool of Bethesda, whom we read in John chapter 5, had to wait for 38 long years to receive his healing. Yet he waited patiently. Jesus waited 30 years before he entered into ministry. Now, all these characters, beginning from Abraham to Jesus, all had to go through tremendous hardship to attain the blessing that was promised. But they waited patiently without murmuring, and yes, certainly the promise was fulfilled. In God's economy of time, a delay does not mean a denial. Now, if we have been praying for a need and we haven't received it, we think God doesn't want to give it to us. But that is not true. A delay is not a denial. We have to learn the difference between no and not yet. There is a big difference. God knows the best time when we should receive a blessing. So, patience with God is an important spiritual aspect in our life. Secondly, James teaches us to be patient with one another. To be patient with one another. In verse 9, don't grumble against one another, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door. This verse suggests that James is addressing to a situation in his own community where there was murmuring and grumbling against one another. And so he says, do not grumble against one another. The word grumbling or murmuring implies judging others, which has been forbidden by Jesus himself. James adds a warning to his command and says, if you grumble or complain or murmur against one another, you will be judged. This is very identical to the teaching of Jesus in Matthew chapter 7 verse 1, where Jesus said, do not judge or you too will be judged. One fact to be accepted today is that it is always difficult to be patient with a person who lives with us or who works with us or who stays with us. It is always easier to be patient with a person who lives far away from us. But it is equally important to be patient with our neighbors as we are with someone away from us. Today, relationships are strained to the breaking point just because one is not able to be patient with his or her associate's divergent attitude. Many times, we are Christians in action. No, we don't lie, we don't steal, we don't commit adultery, we don't gamble, but we react badly to what happens to us. We react in anger, we react in bad temper, we react in jealousy and envy. According to a familiar traditional Hebrew story as recorded in Talmud, one evening Abraham was sitting outside his tent when he saw an old man, tired because of long travel, coming towards him. Abraham rushed out, greeted him, and then invited him into his tent. There he washed the old man's feet and gave him food and drink. But at night, Abraham discovered that the man was a fire worshipper. When he knew that, Abraham became angry and he grabbed the old man by his shoulders and threw him out of his tent in that cold night. That night, God appeared to Abraham in a dream and said, Abraham, I have been patient with that ignorant man for 70 years. Could you not have patiently accepted him one night? The bottom line of the story is, since God is patient with us and others, we are also expected to be patient with others. Christ is our supreme example for patience, and we are to model our lives after him. It was patience that enabled Jesus to do good to people all through his life, even when people hated him. Jesus was patient with his disciples in their slowness to understand. That was why he could continue to teach them. He was patient with the unbelief of the people. That was why he could continue to heal them. He was patient with the thanklessness of the beneficiaries. That was why he could continue to bless the needy. The Greek term that James uses here for patience is makrothumos. This makrothumos is a compound word taken from two other words. One is macro, meaning long, and thumos, from which we get the word thermometer, meaning heat. Thus, patience means taking a long time to get heated. Literally, it is long anchor. We have all heard the expression short temper. Now, that is the description of a person who is easily anchored. The expression for patience is long temper. In other words, patience means taking a long time to get boiled. So, we are called to be long tempered, to be patient with one another. Thirdly, James teaches us to be patient in our trials, to be patient in our trials, verses 10 and 11. Brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. Here, James brings the example of Job's patience. Job's patience stands out because Job's story is extreme in the amount of suffering he endured. Job lost all his children and his wealth in a single day. He was then covered with painful sores, and his wife offered him no support. She encouraged him to give up and curse God and die. Finally, when Job's three friends came to comfort him, they could not even recognize him from a distance. Adding to Job's pain, his friends falsely accused him of wrongdoing and blamed his troubles on his unrepentant heart. But Job patiently endured all these sufferings and character assassinations. Job learned to tolerate the prejudice and stupidity of his friends. He even interceded for his misguided friends. The great lesson for us is that we must exercise patience, whatever situation it be and however severe it be. Many times we fail to be patient when we are misjudged, when we are falsely accused, when our character is assassinated. But James appeals to his readers to exercise patience even in such extreme situations because the judge is standing at the door and he will judge for us. However, James is not asking his readers to submit unconditionally to injustice or oppression. No, he is not saying that. But in the face of all their difficulties and disappointments, James is beseeching the believers to be steadfast in their loyalty to their Lord. In conclusion, I would like to quote Psalm 30, verse 5. Psalm 30, verse 5. Weeping may go on all night, but joy comes with the morning. Friends, we will miss happiness if we are not patient enough until sunrise. We will miss the joy that comes with the morning if you are not prepared to be patient through the night. Journeying with Jesus includes a series of tunnels, dark tunnels, sometimes long tunnels, but no tunnel is without an exit. We need to be patient to experience the joy of exiting the dark and long tunnels. Even though Christian life is compared to a race, there also we are called to run with patience. Patience is the secret for successful life. As children, we need patience to understand and obey our parents. As parents, we need patience to raise responsible children. As spouses, we need patience to build harmonious families. There are a lot of benefits of being patient. God rewards it. Your character grows. You get along with people better. You are more happy. You reach your goals. You will also be rewarded in eternity. So let us resolve to practice patience. Patience with God for the fulfillment of His promise. Patience with one another, with our accompanies, and patience with oneself in our suffering and hardships. May God help us to exercise patience in our faith journey. Amen.